I think I'm interested in moments where those contradictions are taken up in action that's focused not only on identifying unjust dynamics that underlie wealth accumulation, but also expropriating, right, and actively redistributing those resources. I think that that's what some of this stuff that's emerging is about, and I think it's really interesting, and there's a real moment for it, right? And I see demands coming from trans communities right now that really exceed recognition and inclusion and visibility. I hear that happening. You know, you have to listen in different places than in the most mainstream 6 mics in front of them places, right? I hear a really strong demand for prison abolition, which I hear echoed then throughout, you know, all the many, many communities that are disproportionately harmed by imprisonment. I hear a really strong call for an end to immigration enforcement. I hear a demand for full employment and a demand for full trans-inclusive universal health care. And I also hear a continuing demand for the elimination of gender as a category of identity verification. And these concepts, like even just entertaining these concepts, like a country without prison, right? Like just entertaining concepts like that, or without immigration enforcement, those concepts require us to drastically reconsider the nation and citizenship itself, right? It's just some different stuff, right? And these demands, I think, are inherently spaces of impossibility, right? And they make sense to me that they're coming from trans people who are impossible and living in an unsurvivable set of circumstances in structured insecurity in the current context, right? So we are impossible people. My colleague Paisley, who's a brilliant legal scholar and activist, often says how, you know, it's like when trans people like walk up to an institution, it's like the computers break down and like the walls fall down, like, you know, they can't understand us. It's like they're just like, you can't exist, right? And at the same time, we experience, right, when we go to try to talk to anybody about joining their fight, they're like, you're politically unviable, we can't work with you, right? So we're being told that we're politically unviable and we're impossible. We're told that constantly by every single person who can talk. And yet, I think that there's a space of possibility that exists in part because we are not yet included or recognized, right? Like that is what's interesting about that space, right? It's a space that we've seen recede in contexts like gay and lesbian rights formations, where discourses of inclusion have made queer possibilities and interventions less and less disruptive and more compliant, right? Much to the disappointment of many of us queers.